If you're moving to North Texas and you've been researching suburbs, you're probably getting stuck on the same 3 questions everybody gets stuck on. Which suburb actually gives me the most house for my budget? Whether the schools are worth the price difference between one suburb and the next? And whether you're gonna end up in a place that's all subdivisions and strip malls with nothing to actually do on a weekend. Now, those are the 3 things that matter. And there's one suburb that answers all 3 of them better than anywhere else in the corridor right now. It's McKinney. And when I say corridor, I mean the places that I sell homes in, which just happens to be the most popular places in the Metroplex to move to right now if you're relocating. That's Prosper, Frisco, Plano, and one that I personally live in, Salina. And even though I live in Salina, McKinney is actually where I'd buy a home for my family if I were moving here in 2026. I'm gonna walk you through the full case, the homes, the daily life, the schools, and what you'd actually pay every month. And the part about this place that nobody really thinks about. And you could tell on the drive up that this area is brand new. I mean, the entrance is right over there and there's almost no trees, just bare land. Okay, I want to start off with the thing that separates McKinney from every other suburb on this side of the Metroplex. Because it's not the price, it's not the schools, it's this. McKinney has an amazing downtown. The oldest downtown in the entire Metroplex. Not a town center that a developer built at the entrance of a subdivision, an actual historic square. Old brick buildings, string lights over the sidewalks, people sitting on a Saturday morning who aren't in a rush to really go anywhere. When I actually went and spent time in downtown McKinney on a given weekend, I'd walk into a random coffee shop that's family owned. Then I'd walk right next door to a donut shop that's family owned. And before I knew it, I was spending hours just visiting little boutique stores that have been there for generations. There's also new stores, namely, there's a restaurant that actually got nominated for a Michelin star. So if you're in the McKinney area, look it up. It's a really cool opportunity to go explore a downtown that's one of the oldest in all of Dallas. But I'll say this, there's one area of downtown McKinney that I love going to because it's different from anywhere else in the Metroplex. There's a trail that has tree canopies, and in every direction there's old historic craftsman-style homes with wraparound porches. And it has this charm that only really exists in a town that has history and people that really care about it. There's more shops in downtown McKinney than any other suburbs downtown in all of DFW. There's 24 plus restaurants that people actually make reservations at. There's a farmer's market every Saturday at Chestnut Square, and that's where families show up with strollers, their dogs, and just hang out for a couple hours. There's a free trolley Thursday through Saturday that loops around the square, down to Tup's Brewery, over to this place called Local Yokel. And there's a performing arts center in the old courthouse. It's being renovated right now, and it opens this fall. So there's so much going on in the way of development in that area, even though it still has that southern old town charm. Now, way over to the west, Southlake has a great downtown, and Grapevine has a great downtown. And these areas are old and very expensive to live in general, but McKinney's downtown rivals both of them. And it has that small town charm that other two have that makes it so nice just to be there on a weekend. People don't come here because they ran out of options on a Saturday. They look forward to coming downtown on a weekend, and they plan their days around it. I've driven buyers through this part of town and watched them just slow down. That's not something that's common in the North Dallas suburbs because things just move so fast. They stop to look at their phones. They start pointing at things. And almost every single time, someone says something like this: "I didn't know that this was here." The biggest upside that you're getting into in this community is the fact that it's a gated community and you're in Prosper schools. And that's the thing about McKinney. Every suburb in this corridor has nice homes. Every suburb has good schools, but most of them don't have their own thing going on. You live inside your community and you drive to Frisco or Plano for everything else. In McKinney, there's a reason to leave your neighborhood on a Saturday that doesn't involve going to the brand new strip mall or the Cowboys headquarters. People go out to the park nearby to actually play baseball. There's junior league teams for the kids. If you're new to the area, it's a great way to meet neighbors. And I think that's the difference that matters more than you think when you're living somewhere for 5, 10, or 15 years. The moment that changes the conversation for most of my buyers happen on a home tour. They've spent the morning in Frisco or Prosper. They've seen what $800,000 looks like. And then I take them to a home in McKinney at the same price. And they just walk in and just go quiet because the house is bigger. The lot is bigger. The finishes are the same or better. And then there's money left over. I'm gonna walk you through 3 price points because that's what most of my buyers are shopping. At $700,000, you're pulling up a 4-bedroom, maybe 5, somewhere around 3,000 to 3,500 square feet, 3-car garage. You walk in and the ceilings are tall, kitchen is open, the finishes are a step above builder grade, backyard has real space. And at that number, a pool isn't out of the question. In Frisco, that same $700,000 gets you less house, probably no pool, and you're looking at resale, not new construction. And at $900,000 to $1 million, you're in the part of McKinney where you turn into a driveway and the first thing you notice is space. These are the homes that would be $1.2 to $1.3 million in Prosper. The gap doesn't close as your budget goes up, it just widens. And if you want real land, an acre or more, McKinney is one of the only places in this corridor where that's still possible. You can't get an acre in Frisco. It's harder and more expensive in Prosper. In McKinney, especially east of 75, you can find acre plus lots in McKinney ISD around $850,000. It's further out there, but the option exists and it's zoned for an amazing school district. That option basically doesn't exist anywhere else this close to the action. It is not just the house that costs less. The monthly payment is lower also, in ways that most people don't find out until they're sitting down with a lender. A lot of the new construction in Prosper, parts of Frisco, Salina, they sit inside special taxing districts, MUDs and PIDs. If you've seen my other videos, you know that I talk about these a lot, and they add real costs to your monthly mortgage, around $200 to $400 a month. That cost doesn't show up anywhere on the listing. You don't really see it until you're already under contract. And unless you're savvy, you don't really know about it, and maybe your realtor will hopefully tell you. So most of McKinney's biggest communities, Painted Tree, Stonebridge Ranch, Craig Ranch, that was the flagship community for many years, they're inside city limits. There's no mud, no PID, and your tax bill is what it looks like on paper. When my buyers go to Prosper or Salina, they already have to build in the mud or the PID to their monthly expenses, especially when they're looking at mortgage rates at a certain price point. When they go to McKinney, I tell them that it's actually more affordable even at a higher price point because you don't have the utility district taxes or the improvement district taxes. And if you're someone that's retiring, that's especially relevant. So on a $750,000 home in McKinney, you're looking at roughly $13,000 to $14,000 a year in property taxes. That's about $1,100 a month. It's not low. This is Texas. But compare that to a mud community. At the same price, you could be looking at $16,000 or $17,000 a year. That's a difference of $300 to $400 a month. That's the family vacation you take every year, or the car payment that doesn't stress you out. Okay, if you want brand new construction in McKinney, the two communities you need to know are Painted Tree and Aster Park. Both are on the north side of town along 380. If you know anything about 380, it houses most of the popular new communities in McKinney and in Prosper. The first time I took a family through Painted Tree, we came around this bend and the road opened up to this 20-acre lake with trails running alongside it and kids riding bike on a path that disappeared into the trees. That pretty much sums up communities in McKinney. The dad turned to me and said, "This doesn't feel like a Texas subdivision." And he was right. It really didn't. Painted Tree was designed around the land, not just stamped on top of it and bulldozed all the trees away. It's 200 acres of open space and a 25-mile trail network that actually connects to something. It's not just a loop around a neighborhood. There's a spot called The Outpost that's built like a national park lodge where they do concerts, food truck nights on the weekends. It was just recognized as one of the top-selling master plan communities in the entire country. And when you're out there, you can feel why. Especially as we're getting into summertime, mid-spring, where the trees are in full bloom. You can't see the other side of the street because it's blocked by foliage. And in this part of Texas, it's really nice and refreshing to have. Homes in this community start in the mid-300s for townhomes, and they go all the way past $1 million for the big single-family lots. And it's zoned to McKinney ISD. So Aster Park is a totally different feel. You turn off the main road, you pass through the gate, and the noise kind of drops away. Schools are usually the first question I get from families. And when you're spending $700,000 to $800,000 to $1 million on a home, you need to know your kids are walking into something that's worth the investment. In McKinney, they are. I've had families tour McKinney ISD campuses midweek, walk through the hallways, talk to the front staff, and the thing they always say afterwards is how calm it felt. Not chaotic, not underfunded. Just a school that's been running well for a long time. All three McKinney ISD high schools earned individual A ratings from the state this year. The district overall scored an 88 out of 100, and it's up from last year. Math and reading proficiency well above the state average. The graduation rate is 96%, top 20% of all Texas school districts. If you buy in Aster Park, your kids are in Prosper ISD. So depending on where you land in McKinney, you could really be in either district. That's the kind of flexibility that doesn't really exist anywhere else in this corridor. People assume McKinney is further from Dallas than Frisco or Prosper. It's not. Not really. Parts of McKinney are the same distance from downtown as parts of Frisco, and most of McKinney is actually closer than Prosper. The difference is the road that you take. Highway 75 runs straight through McKinney and goes all the way to Dallas without a single toll. It's a more relaxed drive than Dallas North Tollway or 289, and you connect directly to Plano or Allen along the way. Or you go west on 121 and you're in Frisco without ever touching the tollway. So the commute is real, 30, 35, 40 minutes, depending on where you're going. But it's not worse than what you'd get from Prosper. And you're not paying $5,000 a year in tolls just to drive. Here's what's genuinely different. McKinney doesn't have Frisco's polish. It doesn't have the 9 million square feet of retail, the PGA Resort, the Universal Studio Park opening down the road. If you want the suburb where everything's already built and everything is 5 minutes away, that's Frisco, and for some families, it's worth every dollar of the premium they pay to live there. And if you're looking at the newer communities up along 380 in McKinney, you finish touring one of these beautiful homes in Painted Tree or Aster Park, and you get back in your car and you realize that the nearest grocery run is still 10 to 15 minutes away at this point. The restaurants are limited within a 5 to 10 minute driving distance. You still get really nice selections 10 to 15 minutes down the road. And then Long Branch is breaking ground, but right now it's not quite there yet. If you're coming from a place where everything was close and convenient, the north end of McKinney can feel a little empty. Once the excitement of the new house wears off, you'll feel it. The other thing I'll say too is the honest part that's hard to put on paper. McKinney is growing, but it's not frantic. You don't get that feeling of people ripping homes from each other's hands like you do in Frisco Corridor. That calm is one of the best things about living in this city. But it also means that things take a little longer to arrive. The restaurants, the retail, the commercial development, it's all coming, but it moves at McKinney's pace, not Frisco's. I've had buyers tour homes in Frisco and be in the Frisco area all day, and they get stuck on being in Frisco or Prosper because everything is within arm's reach and you don't have to drive 10 minutes and anticipate the building that's going to be built with all of your Chipotle, Starbucks, and Target right down the road. It exists, but in the newer parts of 380, where some of the new communities like Aster Park are, it's still a bit of a drive, so just expect it. If you drive out to Highway 75 and the future 380 bypass right now, you'll see dirt, crews, equipment. That's Long Branch. It's a $1.3 billion mixed-use development, and it's already broken ground. And unlike some of the suburbs further north where you're waiting for basic infrastructure to arrive, McKinney already has the stuff that matters day to day. Baylor Scott and White Hospital, Costco, and established retail. It's such a big landmass that even when all of these things exist inside of McKinney, depending on how far north you live in McKinney, you're still waiting on it for your section to arrive and get built. But you're not betting on a city that's figuring itself out. You're buying into one that's already built the foundation and is adding the next layer on top. So here's how I think about it. Shortest commute, everything figured out, Plano. Fully built, fully polished, and you're willing to pay for the name, Frisco. The nicest neighborhoods, biggest lots, resale timeline doesn't really worry you, Prosper. And if you're just dreaming far into the future, 5-10 years down the line, for one of the fastest growing suburbs in the entire country, then Salina is a really smart play. But if you want the best combination of homes, schools, cost, and a suburb that has so much life, then McKinney is it. That's where I would be looking for a home right now if I were moving to Dallas. I'm Zach Searsway. I sell in all these suburbs. If you want help figuring out which part of McKinney fits your family, that's exactly what I do. Links in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.